Shame is one of the oldest weapons ever created. Older than war, older than money, older than law. It doesn't break bones, it breaks identity. When someone shames you, they are not attacking your actions. They are attacking your position in the social hierarchy. They are attempting to lower you publicly so they can rise privately. And the reason shame works is simple. The human brain evolved to fear exile more than death. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by the tribe meant starvation. So when someone mocks you, exposes you, ridicules you, your nervous system reacts as if your survival's under threat. Most people respond the wrong way. They defend themselves. They explain, they apologize, they justify, and the moment they do, they lose. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Power is not about being right. Power is about controlling perception. And shame is a perception game. The person shaming you is not stronger than you. They are simply louder in that moment. They are attempting to define the story before you do. The first thing you must understand is this. Shame only works if you accept the frame. The moment you try to explain yourself, you accept that their judgment matters. The moment you argue emotionally, you confirm their authority to judge you. The moment you become reactive, you step into a weaker role. Powerful people never rush to clear their name. They let silence do the damage. Silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty makes observers uncomfortable. And in social dynamics, discomfort always shifts attention away from the attacker. When you remain calm, when you don't rush to defend yourself, people subconsciously assume you are above the accusation. They begin to question the motives of the one who attacked you. This is the first reversal. You don't fight shame head-on. You let it rot. Machiavelli warned that those who rush to prove innocence appear guilty. Why? Because confidence does not need witnesses. Only insecurity does. But silence alone is not enough. Silence is the pause before the strike. The second rule is emotional detachment. Shame feeds on emotional reactions. The attacker wants your face to tighten, your voice to crack, your energy to collapse. The moment you show emotion, they gain leverage. Not because emotion is weakness, but because uncontrolled emotion reveals that they touch something vulnerable. So you must master the neutral mask. Neutral does not mean passive. Neutral means unreadable. Calm breathing, relaxed posture, slow movements, a face that reveals nothing. This does two things at once. It frustrates the attacker, and it elevates you in the eyes of observers. Humans instinctively associate calm with authority. Chaos belongs to the lower ranks. Control belongs to those in command. Then comes the psychological inversion. Instead of responding to the content of the shame, you respond to the intent. This is where most people fail. They argue facts. You expose motive. A simple, controlled sentence can shift the entire dynamic. Interesting that you felt the need to say that. No anger, no defense, just observation. This sentence reframes the interaction. Now the spotlight is on them. Why did they feel the need? Why now? Why publicly? You've planted doubt without aggression. The audience begins to sense insecurity behind the attack. Machiavelli taught that the best way to defeat an enemy is to reveal their weakness without attacking it directly. People will do the rest for you. Now understand something critical. Shamers are rarely confident people. They are threatened people. They shame when they feel inferior. They shame when they feel ignored. They shame when they fear losing relevance. Shame is not dominance. It is compensation. Once you see this, the emotional charge disappears. You stop feeling attacked and start seeing patterns. In the moment you see patterns, you gain power. The next phase is delayed retaliation. Never strike immediately. Immediate retaliation looks emotional. Delayed action looks calculated. Machiavelli favored patience because time magnifies power differences. When you wait, the audience forgets the original accusation, but they remember how you carried yourself. Then when the moment is right, you shift positioning. You don't insult. You don't shame back. You elevate yourself beyond the battlefield. You speak about values, standards, or outcomes that indirectly diminish them. For example, I've learned that people who focus on building don't spend much time tearing others down. This is lethal because it doesn't attack them directly. It attacks the category they place themselves in. Observers will do the comparison silently, and silent conclusions are the strongest kind. Now let's go deeper. The most powerful response to shame is success displayed calmly. Not bragging, not explaining, just visible progress. Humans respect results more than narratives. Over time, the shamer looks bitter. You look unbothered, and bitterness is social poison. Machiavelli understood reputation as a slow weapon. Once someone is seen as resentful or insecure, everything they say afterward is filtered through that lens. Their words lose weight, their attacks lose effect. But there is a final psychological maneuver that truly destroys shame at its root. You redefine yourself before others can define you. When you openly acknowledge flaws on your own terms, shame becomes impossible. Not confession, not self-deprecation, strategic ownership. Yes, I made mistakes. I learned fast. Yes, I started with nothing. Yes, I wasn't always polished. You remove the weapon from their hands, and when they try to shame you afterward, it looks redundant, weak, desperate. Machiavelli believed that the strongest position is the one where attacks no longer stick. Not because you fight them, but because they no longer apply. This is where most people misunderstand power. They think power is domination. It's not. Power is immunity. When you become immune to shame, people either respect you or avoid you. Both outcomes are victories. And the moment you stop fearing public judgment, you quietly rise above most of humanity. Part 2. There is a deeper layer to shame that most people never confront. It is not the words that hurt you, it is the part of you that believes them. Every external attack only succeeds if it activates an internal doubt. The shamer throws the hook. Your insecurity bites. Machiavelli understood this mechanism intuitively. He knew that power over others begins with power over self-image. If you want to destroy shame permanently, you must starve it internally. The most dangerous people are not those without flaws. They are those who have made peace with them. When you accept every part of yourself, publicly and privately, no one can use exposure as leverage. There is nothing left to reveal. This is why confident individuals often appear untouchable, not because they are perfect, but because they are integrated. Shame thrives in secrecy. Power thrives in ownership. The next psychological weapon is controlled indifference. This is not pretending not to care. This is genuinely understanding that not all opinions are equal. Machiavelli warned against treating the judgment of the masses as sacred. Most people project their fears, failures, and frustrations onto others. If you absorb that noise, you become controllable. Instead, you must rank opinions. Who is speaking? What have they built? What do they stand to gain by lowering you? Once you ask these questions, most shame collapses instantly. You realize that many attacks come from people beneath you trying to pull you down, not from equals trying to correct you. True criticism is rare, private, and precise. Public shaming is almost always performative. Now comes the strategic escalation. If someone persists in shaming you repeatedly, silence is no longer enough. At this stage, Machiavelli would advise decisive repositioning, not emotional confrontation, social displacement. You increase your value in the environment while decreasing their relevance. This can be done by aligning with higher status individuals, contributing visibly, or becoming indispensable in a group. Power is relational. When your position rises, their attacks begin to look inappropriate. People instinctively protect those who bring value, and they distance themselves from those who create tension. Another technique is reframing the narrative publicly without naming the attacker. You speak about principles, not people. You say things like, "I respect environments where growth matters more than ego," or, "I've learned to ignore voices that don't contribute solutions." You're not defending yourself. You're defining the rules of respect. Anyone who violates those rules exposes themselves. Machiavelli believed that the crowd follows strength, not fairness. When people see you unshaken, progressing, and principled, they adjust their loyalty accordingly. But there is one final level, the level few ever reach. You use shame as fuel. Every attempt to lower you becomes evidence that you are rising. You begin to associate attacks with progress. This flips the emotional response completely. Instead of feeling hurt, you feel confirmed. Why would someone try to shame you if you were irrelevant? This mindset shift is devastating to your enemies. They expect collapse. They receive momentum. They expect apology. They receive elevation. At this stage, people stop trying to shame you. Not because they suddenly respect you, but because the tactic no longer works. And ineffective weapons are abandoned. Machiavelli taught that fear and respect are both forms of control, but the highest form of power is inevitability. When people feel they cannot affect you, they stop trying. You become socially untouchable. And notice something important. You didn't insult, you didn't threaten, you didn't destroy anyone physically or verbally. You destroyed their leverage. That is true domination. Shame is only powerful over those who crave approval. The moment you value direction over validation, everything changes. You move differently. You speak less. You act more. And people feel it. They sense that you are no longer playing the same game. And in the silent hierarchy of human behavior, that is the moment you win.